Spain 2, Belgium 1, and the reigning European champions are into the World Cup semi-finals. Welcome to FairPlay, Football AI Review. This was a quarter-final at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, played under clear California skies at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles before 70,492 passionate supporters. Spain needed to win to reach the last four. Belgium, armed with one of Europe's most experienced generations, needed an upset to extend their tournament. The stakes were as clear as they were enormous. The pre-match storyline was fraught with disruption, particularly for Belgium. Yuri Tielemans had been named on the original team sheet but pulled out injured just before kickoff, forcing Hans Vanaken into the starting lineup. Amadou Onana had already been lost to a torn ACL in the previous match, gutting Belgium's midfield engine room. For Spain, Nico Williams started on the bench following an adductor injury that had ruled him out for 2 matches, though he was available to return. Luis de la Fuente made one significant selection call. Fabian Ruiz earned the start ahead of Pedri. Spain lined up in their established 4-2-3-1 under de la Fuente, with Rodri anchoring the double pivot alongside Fabian Ruiz, Lamine Yamal providing the width and directness from the right, Dani Olmo operating centrally behind the striker, and Mikel Oyarzabal as the focal point. The plan was unmistakably to dominate possession, suffocate Belgium's attacking threat, and use Yamal's pace and creativity to destabilize the Belgian defensive bloc. Rudi Garcia set Belgium up in a matching 4-2-3-1. Kevin De Bruyne operated in the number 10 role, with Leandro Trossard and Jeremy Doku flanking him, and Charles de Ketelaere as the lone striker. The defensive pairing of Raskin and Vanaken was asked to screen the back four and limit the damage from Spain's fluid movement in behind. It was a pragmatic setup from Garcia, built on the hope that De Bruyne could create and de Ketelaere could convert. The tactical battle shaped up as a fascinating contest between Spain's positional dominance and Belgium's capacity to hurt on the counter. With Rodri controlling tempo and Ruiz offering aggressive late runs from deep, Spain had the tools to unlock a compact block. Belgium's best chance was to absorb, stay organized in their defensive shape, and then release Doku or De Bruyne into the spaces that inevitably open when a team commits as many bodies forward as Spain habitually do. The structure was mirrored, but the intentions were radically different. Spain asserted control from the opening whistle. Rodri dictated the rhythm with his customary unhurried authority, completing an extraordinary 104 passes across the 90 minutes. Yamal was electric from the first moment, stretching Belgium's left flank repeatedly and forcing De Kuyper into desperate defensive positioning. Belgium defended deep and looked to keep the match compact, but Spain's pressing and intensity made it difficult for Garcia's men to build any coherent play. The breakthrough arrived in the 30th minute, and it had Lamine Yamal's fingerprints all over it. Yamal played a sharp 1-2 with Pedro Porro and then pulled the ball back for Dani Olmo, who lashed a first-time effort at goal. Courtois pushed it away, but the ball rolled to Fabian Ruiz, who reacted quickest to fire home via a deflection off Timothy Castagne. It was a goal born of relentless pressure and a willingness to commit numbers into the penalty area. Belgium refused to fold. 11 minutes after going behind, they drew level through Charles de Ketelaere in the 41st minute. Castagne drove forward down the right flank and whipped in a precise cross. De Ketelaere, who had scored twice in the previous round against the United States, got in front of Pau Cubarsí and powered a header past Unai Simon. The significance was stark. It was the first goal Spain had conceded in 650 minutes of World Cup football, stretching all the way back to the group stage of the 2022 tournament in Qatar. Cubarsí picked up a yellow card in the 43rd minute for handball, and while the timing was unfortunate with Spain having just been pegged back, it was a legitimate decision. The half ended 1 apiece, and Belgium had earned their equalizer, producing a textbook counter-attacking goal at exactly the right psychological moment. The halftime assessment was this: Spain had been the clearly dominant side in terms of territory and threat. Yamal alone had created 2 legitimate chances, but Belgium had shown real craft and resilience. The pattern of the second half would depend entirely on whether De La Fuente could re-establish control or whether Garcia's side could use that equalizer as a platform to grow into the match. Spain came out sharper after the break. De La Fuente made a double substitution in the 55th minute. Pedri replaced Fabian Ruiz and Ferran Torres came on for Alex Baena. The changes injected fresh energy and gave Spain more technical precision in the midfield triangle. Pedri's arrival particularly changed the texture of Spain's build-up, offering a more intricate passing option between the lines. Belgium responded with their own triple change in the 60th and 61st minutes. Romelu Lukaku replaced Hans van Aken, Axel Witsel came on for Leandro Trossard, and Joaquin Saiz replaced Maxime de Kuiper on the left side of defense. The introduction of Lukaku was Garcia's statement of intent. They wanted to be more direct, more physical, and use Belgium's talisman striker to hold the ball up and bring others into play. The Lukaku gambit did not dramatically alter the game's direction. Spain continued to dominate possession. They would finish the match with 68% of the ball and 90% pass accuracy, and the Belgian midfield struggled to function as an attacking unit after losing De Bruyne's creativity to a yellow card-induced caution. Belgium's lone real shot on target in the second half came from De Bruyne before he departed, keeping Simon honest but never seriously threatening to push Belgium ahead. Then came the 51st minute substitution Belgium could not have anticipated costing them so dearly. Thibaut Courtois, Belgium's world-class goalkeeper and arguably their most important player, was forced off in the 71st minute and replaced by Senna Lamens. The reason for the substitution was not made explicit in the immediate aftermath, but it removed the one player who might have prevented what came 17 minutes later. Nico Williams arrived from the bench in the 79th minute, replacing Mikel Oyarzabal, and immediately brought pace and directness to Spain's attack. His introduction stretched Belgium's tired defensive structure and created the space that would ultimately lead to the winning goal. The decisive moment came in the 88th minute. Pau Cubarsí, the composed young centre-back who had been one of Spain's standout performers throughout, tried his luck with a low drive from outside the penalty area. Lamens got down to it but could only parry, failing to hold. Mikel Merino, who had come on just 1 minute and 57 seconds earlier as a substitute for Dani Olmo, reacted fastest to the loose ball and lifted it into the net with his left foot. It was a moment of extraordinary drama, a substitute deciding a World Cup quarter-final before he had even touched the ball twice. Spain 2, Belgium 1, and SoFi Stadium erupted. The two late yellows in stoppage time, Laporte for a professional foul bringing down Doku on the break in the 92nd minute, and Witsel for a late lunge on Rodri in the 94th, were both the product of a game in its death throes, with Belgium pushing desperately and Spain managing the clock. Neither changed the outcome or the narrative. The possession and passing statistics told the full story of Spain's dominance. 68% ball possession, 664 total passes against Belgium's 312, and a pass accuracy of 90% compared to Belgium's 78. Rodri alone touched the ball more times than most Belgium players combined. Spain constructed their attacks patiently and purposefully. This was a team built to win while owning the game entirely. Spain's attacking threat was comprehensive and largely legitimate. 17 total shots to Belgium's 5, 8 on target compared to just 2, and an expected goals figure of 2.01 against Belgium's 0.55. That XG gap is not a fluke. Spain created high-quality chances throughout, and the fact they only scored twice reflects some excellent goalkeeping from Courtois in the first half, where he made 4 saves, and a degree of wastefulness from Yamal, who finished with 6 total shots, but only 2 on target. Defensively, Spain were excellent for the most part. Unai Simon made just 1 save across the entire match, which speaks to how effectively the Spanish midfield and defensive line controlled the space around their own penalty area. Belgium's danger was almost entirely restricted to the De Ketelaere header, a beautifully constructed set piece that exposed a momentary lapse from Cubarsí. Beyond that single moment of vulnerability, Spain's backline was composed and authoritative throughout. The standout performer for Spain was Lamine Yamal. The teenager was everywhere. 6 total shots, 2 on target, constant movement pulling Belgium's defensive line wide and creating the space others exploited. He was directly involved in the build-up to the first goal and caused De Kuyper serious trouble all evening. His influence declined slightly after De Kuyper was replaced by Saiz, but by then the damage was done. Yamal is playing with a maturity and fearlessness that sets him apart from anyone else at this tournament. For Belgium, Charles de Ketelaere was their brightest moment. His header was precise, courageous, and timed perfectly. The work of a striker who has genuine instinct in the box. He held the ball well against the Spanish center-backs, linked play intelligently, and his 2 goals against the United States in the previous round showed he carries a genuine threat. In a largely disappointing performance from Belgium collectively, de Ketelaere was the one player who matched Spain's top performers. The player who underperformed was Kevin De Bruyne. On 2 assists and 24 completed passes with just 1 shot on target, Belgium's creative heartbeat failed to find his best level. He was closely watched by Spain's double pivot and never found the space or rhythm to truly influence the game. His yellow card in the 85th minute for a reckless challenge on Ferran Torres immediately triggered his substitution, meaning Belgium's most talented player departed the match and the tournament, having made minimal impact on its decisive phase. Luis de la Fuente's tactical decisions were broadly vindicated. Starting Ruiz over Pedri gave Spain a more dynamic physical presence in midfield in the first half, while Pedri's introduction at 55 minutes gave them control in the second. The decision to bring on Merino in the 86th minute, specifically for his aerial ability and box presence from set pieces, proved inspired almost immediately. Rudi Garcia's approach was understandable given Belgium's resources, but losing Courtois to injury in the 71st minute fundamentally undermined whatever tactical plan he had. Belgium could not absorb the blow. This result continues a remarkable pattern of dominance in this fixture. Spain have now won 5 of their last 5 competitive and friendly encounters against Belgium, stretching back to 2004. There is a clear psychological edge that Spain hold in this rivalry, and Belgium have never managed to produce a result against this Spanish generation that suggested otherwise. De La Fuente's side know how to beat this opponent. Spain arrived at this quarter-final in formidable form, 5 wins from their last 5 competitive fixtures, having beaten Portugal, Austria, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia in this tournament before dispatching Belgium. Their defensive record entering this match was extraordinary, and even conceding the de Ketelaere equalizer barely dented the sense that this team is operating at a different level to their competitors. Belgium came in on a run of 1 draw, then 3 wins before this loss, a decent tournament showing, but ultimately short of what was needed. For Belgium, the tournament is over. Their campaign ends here, the golden generation that once promised so much, reduced gradually by age, injury, and circumstance, unable to navigate past a Spanish side that simply outclassed them across every key metric. There is no next fixture for Belgium. For Spain, the path forward leads to a semi-final against France in Dallas on July 14th. Spain face France, a contest between 2 of world football's genuine powers and a match that carries its own weight of history and rivalry. France have Kylian Mbappé, the tournament's joint top scorer on 8 goals, and a squad brimming with match winners. Spain have a system, a collective, and a momentum that is increasingly difficult to stop. This match was decided by individual brilliance at key moments within a team framework of genuine excellence. Fabian Ruiz's clinical finish, de Ketelaire's brave equalizer, and Merino's substitute's moment of magic were the headline moments, but the story behind them was Spain's total dominance of possession, territory, and chance creation. Belgium fought bravely and earned their equalizer, but could not sustain the threat against a side this well-organized and this talented. FairPlay will be in Dallas on Tuesday, Spain versus France, for a place in the World Cup final. Do not miss it. That's the FairPlay verdict on this one. If you want more analysis like this, follow us. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at FairPlay AI, and follow Anthony personally on X at Anthony FairPlay. See you next match.